Welcome to the vitamins and minerals section. In this video, we're going to talk about vitamin B1, which you may know better by its nom de plume, thiamine. Thiamine is an essential vitamin that's important for cellular metabolism, which is, when you think about it, essential for life. So you might say that thiamine is essential for life. But life giveth and life taketh away. And in the future, a deadly war rages between humans and machines. With their technology ever advancing, the robots send an advanced model back to time to assassinate Barry, the leader of the human forces. The fate of mankind looks bleak. As a last grasp effort, a small band of hardy warriors hijacks a robot and sends it to the past, reprogrammed to protect Barry. The fate of humanity depends on the success of the machine they call
the Thiaminator.
Los Angeles, 2020. A deadly cyborg assassin from the future appears inside a local hipster dive bar. He shouts out,
"I'm looking for Barry."
No one answers. As you can see, the Thiaminator always wears a T1 leather jacket. Not only because it's super stylish, but also because T stands for thiamine and 1 stands for vitamin B1. Thiamine is important in ATP synthesis. Thiamine, as thiamine pyrophosphate, or TPP, serves as a cofactor for several important steps in aerobic metabolism, branched-chain amino acid catabolism, and for the pentose phosphate pathway. TPP transfers active aldehyde groups in these reactions. You'll notice that the Thiaminator plus 2P rifles makes TPP. It also makes me very nervous for the folks in this bar. What's TPP for? Glad you asked. It's a cofactor for several important enzymes, including pyruvate dehydrogenase, alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, branched-chain ketoacid dehydrogenase, and transketolase. As you no doubt remember from our PDC sketch, pyruvate dehydrogenase takes pyruvate, which is the end product of glycolysis, and turns it into acetyl-CoA, which is the starting substrate for the TCA cycle. Pyruvate dehydrogenase requires 5 cofactors, and count them with me. 1. TPP, 2. FAD, 3. NAD+, 4. lipoic acid, and 5. CoA. Ugh, looks like somebody spilled their rum again. You gotta stick to tequila, folks. Anyway, now that pirate bartender has to dry it up. Or you might say dehydrate it? Okay, you might not. But let this hardworking bartender remind you of pyruvate dehydrogenase. Now let's move on to this guy sitting across from the bartender. He appears to be an Alpha Kappa Gamma frat boy, or bra, as he likes to call himself. And notice that, like the bartender, he's near because he's also a dehydrogenase. Alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase turns alpha-ketoglutarate into succinyl-CoA. Just as a side note, alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase uses the same cofactors as pyruvate dehydrogenase. TPP is also a cofactor for branched-chain ketoacid dehydrogenase. This enzyme breaks down the branched-chain amino acids. We represent this enzyme using this live tree. Why live? Because you can use the first 3 letters of LIVE tree to remember the branched-chain amino acids leucine, isoleucine, and valine. The towel next to the tree will help you remember that this enzyme is also a dehydrogenase. Unfortunately, Thiaminator terminated this tree.
Yay! Hasta la vista, baby.
Okay, quick flashback to the metabolism section and maple syrup urine disease, which is caused by a defect in the branched-chain amino acid ketoacid dehydrogenase. Maple syrup urine babies are unable to metabolize branched-chain amino acids, which is why that live tree is a maple tree. Maple syrup urine disease is treated with thiamine and dietary restriction of leucine, isoleucine, and valine. TPP is also required for the transketolase reaction in the pentose phosphate pathway. Transketolase converts ribose 5-phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate, which is used for glycolysis. Please check out our pentose phosphate pathway sketch for more information. I know that when I go to the bar, I totally just hang my keys on a pegboard on the wall and then ignore them. I also know that I've had my car stolen 6 times this year, but I'm pretty sure that's not related. Now that you're an expert on what thiamine does, let's explain what happens when you don't have enough. Thiamine is absolutely essential for ATP production. If thiamine is depleted, the enzymes that we talked about will be functioning at suboptimal capacity and less ATP will be made, which is bad for many cells, especially neurons and cardiac muscle. Actually, before we get to what happens with thiamine deficiency, let's talk about why you might be deficient. Inadequate dietary intake is a major cause of thiamine deficiency. People who consume polished, unenriched white rice, such as those in developing countries, are more likely to develop thiamine deficiency. In the good old US of A, white rice is supplemented with thiamine and other nutrients to avoid this problem.
Hey, bros. I brought the basmati. Time to rage. Woo!
Thiamine deficiency is also common among alcoholics because alcohol reduces thiamine absorption. Thiamine deficiency may cause Wernicke encephalopathy, an acute neurological condition characterized by confusion, ataxia, and ophthalmoplegia with horizontal nystagmus. Aw, Chad, not again, brah. Not gonna keep buying you beers if you're gonna keep spilling them, brah. And now a brief public service announcement for you future physicians. Please administer thiamine before you give dextrose to alcoholic or malnourished patients in the emergency department. If you administer glucose first, you run the risk of worsening Wernicke encephalopathy. IV thiamine administration will often reverse oculomotor symptoms in hours, though the confusion and ataxia may take longer to resolve. Chronic thiamine deficiency may also cause Korsakoff syndrome, or Korsakoff psychosis. Korsakoff syndrome presents with permanent memory loss. Yikes. I bet the Korsakoff marketing person is pissed, but at least it's convenient for us that the don't in their sign went out. Forget Korsakoff vodka indeed. People with Korsakoff syndrome often unconsciously create false memories to compensate for memory loss, which is called confabulation. And to be honest, it's not all that fabulous. They may also exhibit a personality change, which this blinking neon sign will help you remember. Since Wernicke and Korsakoff commonly occur together, they're often combined into just Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. And if you look at the brain of a patient with Wernicke-Korsakoff, hello future pathologists, you'll see areas of necrosis and possible hemorrhage in the mammillary bodies, which aren't related in any way to milk, but it sounds like they've gotta be, right? You'll also see damage to the anterior and dorsomedial nuclei of the thalamus, which is the relay station of the brain. Hence why we've named the bar, the relay station. Looks like it's not getting good reviews, though. Anyway, both the thalamus and the mammillary bodies are important for memory, which probably explains why damage there can cause Wernicke-Korsakoff. But wait, there's more. Thiamine deficiency may also result in dry or wet beriberi. Good thing our buddy Barry is sitting at the bar eating berries, waiting for his friends to show up.
Hey, Barry, I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday, Barry.
Now give me your shirt, your shoes, and your berries. Yeah!
Well, sucks to be Barry. Anyway, dry beriberi may present with pain, paresthesias, and areflexia from demyelination of the distal peripheral nerves. It can also cause peripheral neuropathy in a glove and stocking distribution. Finally, you may see muscle weakness, which can develop into muscle paralysis if left untreated. It can even leave you so weak you can't hold on to your dried berries anymore. And that's sad because those things are delicious. Wet beriberi, on the other hand, affects the cardiovascular system. It may present with dilated cardiomyopathy, represented by that oversized heart bag, high output heart failure, represented by that floppy heart balloon, and edema secondary to that heart failure, represented by berry spilled drink. Okay, one last thing I want to say. Thiamine deficiency is often diagnosed based on clinical presentation, but low baseline red blood cell transketolase levels may indicate low intracellular thiamine. Since TPP is a cofactor for transketolase, we expect red blood cell transketolase levels to increase following thiamine administration. Well, it's almost 4 a.m. here. It's closing time. Let's quickly review the high yield points. Thiamine plays a critical role in aerobic metabolism, branched-chain amino acid catabolism, and the pentose phosphate pathway. Thiamine as TPP is a cofactor for pyruvate dehydrogenase, alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, branched-chain ketoacid dehydrogenase, and transketolase. Not getting enough thiamine from the diet, for example, eating mostly unenriched white rice, causes thiamine deficiency. Thiamine deficiency is also common among alcoholics and may cause Wernicke encephalopathy, which presents with confusion, ataxia, and ophthalmoplegia. Some people develop Korsakoff syndrome, which presents with permanent memory loss, confabulation, and personality changes. The mammillary bodies and anterior and dorsomedial thalamus are often damaged in Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Thiamine deficiency may also cause dry or wet beriberi. Dry beriberi presents with muscle weakness and neuropathy. Wet beriberi presents with dilated cardiomyopathy, high output heart failure, and edema. I'm glad the Thyminator decided to sit back, relax, and enjoy a nice, refreshing drink before we close shop.